Elena Martinez was standing in her own driveway, watching a stranger water her roses through her living room window. The man waved at her cheerfully, like they were neighbors. When she called 911, she expected flashing lights and handcuffs. Instead, she got Officer Davies, who looked at a crumpled piece of paper and said 8 words that would haunt her. "Ma'am, they have a lease. It's civil." In that moment, Elena realized the couple who broke into her house while she was saving COVID patients had more legal rights to her home than she did. Let me tell you something that's going to fundamentally change how you think about your home. You're about to learn why squatters' rights can override your property rights, why police officers are trained to walk away from home invasions in progress, and the one federal law that can turn a 2-year eviction into a 48-hour arrest. This isn't just Elena's story. Professional squatting syndicates are operating in all 50 states right now. They know the playbook. Fake leases, utility bills in their name, mail forwarding, creating a paper trail that transforms criminal trespassing into a landlord-tenant dispute. They know police won't touch civil matters. They know courts are backlogged for 18 months minimum. What they're counting on is you not knowing about Title 18, United States Code, Section 1341, mail fraud, and how it triggers RICO, the same law they use to take down organized crime families. By the end of what I'm about to tell you, you'll understand the legal machinery that protects squatters, the investigative process that exposes them, and the federal statute that destroys them. This is your tactical guide to the nuclear option of property law. October 21st, 2021. Elena Martinez is 13 hours into her drive from Detroit back to her home in suburban Phoenix. For 3 months, she'd been working the COVID ward at Detroit General, 16-hour shifts, holding iPads so dying patients could say goodbye to families they'd never touch again. All she could think about was her house, not a mansion, not even particularly special to anyone else. A 3-bedroom ranch-style home in Scottsdale she'd bought with her mother's life insurance money. She turned onto Willow Creek Drive at 8:43 p.m. She parked in the driveway, grabbed her single bag, and walked to her front door. The key went in halfway and stopped. Not stuck. Not jammed. Wrong, like trying to put a Honda key in a Toyota. She pulled it out, looked at it under the porch light. Same key she'd used for 3 years. Same door. But the lock was different. Not just different, new. She walked to the living room window. The curtains were different. Not her gray ones from Target. These were beige with some kind of flower pattern. And the furniture. Where was her couch? Instead, there was a brown leather sectional. A different TV. Different everything. The front door opened. A man stood there. Mid-40s maybe. Polo shirt tucked into khakis. The kind of guy you'd see at Home Depot on a Saturday. He looked at Elena like she was a door-to-door salesperson who'd interrupted dinner. "Can I help you?" he said. "This is my house," Elena said. The words came out quiet, confused. "I think you're mistaken," the man said. "We live here." Elena saw a woman appear behind him, blonde, concerned face, holding a dish towel like she'd been doing dishes. In Elena's kitchen, "You need to leave," the woman said, "or we'll call the police." The absurdity of it broke something in Elena's exhausted brain. "Call them," she heard herself say. "Please call them, because you're in my house." The man, who would later identify himself as Brad Henderson, smiled. Not a nice smile. A smile that knew things. "Sharon," he said to the woman, "go ahead and call 911. Tell them we have an aggressive person trying to break into our home." 2 squad cars arrived 14 minutes later. Officer Davies stepped out first, tall, professional. "Ma'am, I'm Officer Davies. You called about a break-in?" Brad came out then. "Officers?" Brad said, "Thank goodness you're here. This woman is trying to break into our home. We're scared." "Sir, can you prove you live here?" Officer Davies asked. Brad reached into his pocket, pulled out a folded paper. "Our lease," he said. He handed it over like it was the Constitution itself. Officer Davies unfolded it. Elena watched his face change. The skepticism faded. He looked at Elena differently now. "Ma'am, do you have proof you own this property?" "Of course I own it. I bought it 3 years ago. I have the deed. It's inside, in my filing cabinet, which is in my house." "Which they're in." Do you have any documentation with you? Elena's stomach dropped. It's all inside. Everything's inside. Because I live here. Officer Davies looked at the lease again. Ma'am, this appears to be a valid lease agreement dated August 1st. That's 12 weeks ago. That's impossible. I never signed any lease. I left July 25th for Detroit. Ma'am? Officer Davies's voice had that careful tone now, too. They have established residency. They have a legal document. This is a civil matter. You'll need to handle this through the courts. A civil matter? They broke into my house. They have a lease, ma'am. They're tenants now. Even if there's a dispute about the lease's validity, that's for a judge to determine. We can't just throw people out of their home. Officer Davies turned to Elena. Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but you cannot attempt to enter this property by force. If you do, you could be arrested for breaking and entering. Breaking into my own house? Ma'am, until a court determines ownership and tenant rights, you need to stay away from this property. Get a lawyer. File for eviction. Let the system work. The system. Elena looked at Officer Davies. He knew. She could see it in his eyes. He knew this was wrong, but his hands were tied by procedure. Where am I supposed to go? Elena asked. Do you have family? Friends? There's a Motel 6 about 3 miles down Bell Road. A Motel 6. After 3 months of sleeping in hospital break rooms, saving lives, she was being told to go to a Motel 6 while strangers slept in her bed. Brad Henderson stood in the doorway of Elena's house, backlit by her porch light, and waved. A little goodbye wave. The next morning, she started calling lawyers. The first one listened to her story and said, eviction cases in Maricopa County are backed up 18 months minimum, maybe 2 years. The second lawyer said the same thing. The third wanted a $5,000 retainer just to start the paperwork. The fourth said, even if the lease is fake, if they've established residency, they have tenant rights. You'll need to prove the lease is fraudulent, which means discovery, depositions, court hearings. It's a process. Day 14. Elena was down to her last $3,000, the Motel 6. The lawyers. That's when she decided to hire Marcus Webb. Marcus wasn't a lawyer. He was a private investigator who specialized in property fraud. I don't care about the legal process right now, Elena told him. I need to know who these people are. Marcus spent 3 days just watching the house, taking photos, running plates, making calls. Then he came to Elena's motel room with a folder that would change everything. Your squatters aren't amateurs, he said. Brad and Sharon Henderson have done this before. Elena stared at the documents. Property records, court files, photos, 5 houses in 3 years, Phoenix, Tucson, Las Vegas. Always the same pattern. Look at the victims, Marcus said. Notice anything? A Marine deployed to Afghanistan, an ICU nurse in California, a traveling business consultant, a woman caring for her dying mother, a doctor with Physicians Without Borders. They target people who help others, Elena said. People who have to leave for extended periods. Heroes, Marcus corrected. They target heroes. And look at this. He pulled out copies of 5 lease agreements. The same format, the same font, even the same typo where tenant was spelled with 2 N's. They have a template, she said. It gets better. Marcus pulled out another paper. Every single fake lease was mailed to the property using the United States Postal Service. They mailed themselves the lease to establish proof of residency. So, Marcus smiled. Mail fraud is a federal crime. Using the Postal Service to commit fraud, that's Title 18, 20 years in federal prison. And when you do it multiple times across state lines as part of a pattern, that triggers RICO. RICO? Like what they use against the mob? Exactly like that, because this isn't just squatting, it's racketeering. And the beautiful thing about federal crimes? They don't give a damn about tenant rights. Elena's lawyer contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office, which led to the FBI's White-Collar Crime Division, which led to Special Agent Diana Foster. Agent Foster reviewed the case file. We've been watching the Hendersons for 18 months, she finally said, but we needed exactly this, a clear pattern, and the mail fraud gives us federal jurisdiction. You're victim number 6. October 28th, 2021, 5:47 a.m. Elena sat in an unmarked van 2 blocks from her house. Agent Foster was beside her. All units, prepare for breach. Elena could see her house. Her porch light was still on. The Hendersons had forgotten to turn it off, running up her electric bill while they slept in her bed. 6 a.m. exactly. 3 black SUVs converged on the house. No sirens, no drama, just sudden, overwhelming presence. FBI agents in tactical gear surrounded the property. Execute warrant. The front door. Elena's front door, the one with the new lock, exploded inward. Breached. Elena could hear Sharon Henderson screaming. Real terror. Brad's voice, high and panicked. What's happening? We have a lease. We have rights. They were brought out in handcuffs, both of them. Brad in boxers, Sharon in a nightgown. Brad saw Elena in the van. Their eyes met. He looked confused. Agent Foster stepped out. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, you're under arrest for mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and RICO violations. Brad tried one last time. This is our home. She's our landlord. She's trying to illegally evict us. Agent Foster held up an evidence bag. Inside was the certified mail receipt, the one Brad had signed for, the one that proved he'd mailed himself a fraudulent lease. No, Mr. Henderson, this is evidence of a federal crime. Brad Henderson is spending the next 12 years in federal prison. Sharon Henderson is spending 8. Their victims are rebuilding their lives with 6-figure settlements. But this isn't just about justice for Elena, it's about prevention for everyone else. Most squatters are betting you don't know about Title 18. They're betting you'll follow the traditional path of civil court and bankruptcy. They're wrong. The moment they touch the U.S. mail, they've graduated from state squatters to federal felons. The moment they form a pattern, they've triggered RICO. The moment they cross state lines, they've invited the FBI to their fake housewarming party. Elena Martinez didn't just get her house back. She exposed the blueprint for defeating every professional squatter in America. And now, so have you. This has been Casebound, where justice isn't just served, it's enforced. If this story made you angry, good. If it made you aware, better. If it made you share this video, then we've done our job. Because every share is another squatter who thinks twice, another homeowner who knows their rights. Stay vigilant. Your home is your castle, and castles are meant to be defended. And sometimes, all it takes to bring down a tyrant is one person with a manila folder and the courage to stand up. Until no one ever has to hear those 8 words, "Ma'am, they have a lease. It's civil." Not anymore. Not if we have anything to say about it.